Hello, and welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Melissa Nielsen, and I run Waldorf Essentials. Today, we're going to talk about the need not for having a perfect home. So, I've been at this for a long time. My oldest is 28 and a half years old, and I've been homeschooler since the beginning. I tell you what, there's no such thing as a perfect home. And it's so interesting to me because every time I think that this myth has been busted, somebody else emails me and they're like, "Oh no, I can't do this and my house isn't perfect, my home isn't perfect, my family's not perfect." And so I just thought I would share with you a couple of situations that have happened over the years. And hopefully, if you're worried about this, it'll help you calm down a little bit. So, I have five children, so I have walked it all. I would say out of my five children, at least three, probably four have some ADHD stuff going on. And then I've got ADHD. So, we're all a match. Like we're all over the place if we didn't really work on rhythm and really work on how to have a happy home space. So, with that in mind, I just want to share the email I got this week. So, I got this email this week from a family, and the woman, she was so nice. I'm so glad I found Waldorf Essentials because I found another Waldorf company on Instagram and they made it look so perfect and it was so beautiful, but I felt so inadequate. I just didn't think I could do this. And I have to tell you, I love emails like that because I love dispelling this idea that Waldorf is perfect. Not only is it not perfect, homeschooling is messy. Parenting is messy, like really messy, often. Partnering is messy. Being a wife or a husband, being in partnership with another person that you have to check in with and be on the same page with as you're parenting these children, it's messy. So you should never think that your home has to be perfect. It's not even the goal. It's never been my goal. My goal has always been for my home to feel good and feel lived in, feel comfortable, but also feel like home. So, I've had a rule, maybe you've heard me say this, that my house is never more than 30 minutes from clean. So that doesn't mean that we are living in a pristine space all the time. That means that if you called me right now and said, I'm going to be at your house in 30 minutes, that the people that are in my house could all get together and in 30 minutes, our house would be presentable. That means that, I might have a Roomba that does my house every day. And I do that because I no longer have five children at home to sweep for me on a regular basis. So Roomba takes care of the floor. But guess what? There's still clutter on the coffee table, clutter on the kitchen table. In fact, I just removed clutter off the kitchen table this morning because we've been eating on the patio since it was got nice. And so guess what? Then that means that there's generally clutter on the kitchen table. So I want you to think that if your house is lived in, and as long as you don't live in a pigsty, then you're probably fine. If you have a problem with keeping your house clean, well, that's a different conversation, though. That's not about having the perfect home. That's about adjusting where your standards are. And your standards might be different than my standards. And if you're worried about how your home feels, well, that should be really important to you. How do you want your home to feel? I don't generally think about how I want it to look. I think about how I want it to feel. So when my children walk into a room, is it so cluttered that they feel uneasy? Because the more clutter, the more toys, the more stuff that tends to be in a room, the more on edge children tend to be. So, I tend to really like a space that doesn't have a lot of things, even when I had all five of them at home and we had a common space for toys. We didn't have an overabundance of toys because we wanted to keep that space. It didn't mean we didn't rotate toys because I rotated toys or moved toys along as we got new toys. We also spent time where there was a period when everybody had toys in their room. a period where most of the toys were out, and we experimented with both things. Both things are fine. I think I would, if I had to do it again, I probably wouldn't do a whole lot different. I probably would, still do that experimenting thing, because as they grow and as they change, their needs change. So, like where we are now, where we've only got Soraya, and of course she's 14 and Sam's 19. Sam is, doing the adult thing, young adult thing, and not playing like he would have 5 years ago. So there's not a lot of stuff in our house. Does that mean my child, Soraya, my 14-year-old, doesn't drag all of her markers and things out to the coffee table while we sit and enjoy time together as a family? No, she does that actually fairly regularly. But she also knows that that's not where those things live. So she cleans it up at the end of the day. So, if you're thinking about how your home feels, think about that piece. How does it feel when you walk in your living room? Just go do that right now. Go do that while I'm talking, and go think about your living room. How does it feel in there? Does it feel comfortable? Does it feel like if somebody came to your house, you could say, just come in here and sit down? Or does it feel stressful? The opposite of it being like super messy would be it being like super sparse and there not being anything, and it feeling like, you know, um, my mother's house wasn't like this, but I had grandparents. It was like plastic on the carpet. You couldn't walk on the carpet if you had shoes on because it was white. And like we don't want that opposite either. We want it to feel good. And so much of it feeling good depends on how you were raised, depends on how your partner was raised. What were the standards in their house as they were growing up? What were the standards in your house? Is it time for you to come together and set new standards? Because that's really how you want to then govern your space. So, maybe you are 5 or 10 years into this parenting thing and you're like, oh my gosh, I should have heard this 10 years ago. Today is a great day to sort of sort that out and decide how you want your space to feel. When I had all the kids at home, we often had like a counter space, a bar in the kitchen where everybody was sitting and we all congregated there. So think about the space where you all spend the most time and work on that space first. Work on having that space feel good. What do you need to do for that space to feel good? Do you need to do some adjusting? Clutter is a clutter is a real thing, whether it's library books or bills or whatever it is that ends up being your clutter. Like, look at it. If it's really bothering you, then sort out how you take care of those things. Baskets do a world of good. I can remember there was a time where everything felt like it was all over the counter. And I get a basket, and I thought, well, then everything was in the basket. So then you have to make sure that you go through those things on a regular basis. You don't want to just ignore things because, oh, you're doing this parenting gig, because all of it has to work together. All of it has to be part of your whole. So think about the space you guys spend the most time in. How does it feel? And then when you're thinking about like whether or not you have perfect family, there's no such thing. I recall an email several years ago, probably 10 years ago. And mom was like, I really want to do Waldorf, but my kids are crazy. I was like, well, sounds like a great place for you to be, because that's this space. We're not bringing perfect humans into a space and educating them. We are educating humans. We're all imperfect, and we're working on our capacities. We're working on the capacities of a young child to learn how to sit. We're working on the capacities of them to learn to be calm. That is a journey. That is a journey, and it doesn't start on day one. It means you're working on it continually. That's part of what you signed up for as a parent. You could be the parent that's just like, I don't care what they do. They can be crazy. They can bounce off the walls. Or you could be that conscious parent that says, okay, well, I know there's a difference between that and the straitjacket. So let's teach them when it's appropriate to be all kinds of crazy out in the trees, climbing them, being loud, using their outside voice, and when it's time to breathe in and be settled. They only learn that from you, mom and dad, but they don't learn that out. You've chosen to homeschool, so they're not forced into a situation where they have to be quiet for 6 hours a day. So give them the space where they can be wild and the space to come together, and help them to know the difference, help them to understand reverence, help them to understand what it means to slow down, help them to understand that it's safe to slow down, especially those of you who have kids that are on the spectrum or have the ADHD thing going. I get moms that complain all the time. They go, I don't have ADHD, but my kid does, and I don't know what to do. And they're so busy. I'm trying to keep them busy all the time. Actually, that's the opposite of what you should do. If you've got a child that is busy, teach them that it's safe to slow down. Doesn't mean you're not going to keep them busier than, say, your neurotypical children, but to only keep a child with ADHD busy means to just feed that piece. And we really need to teach them that it's safe to be settled. It's safe to sit still for a few minutes. It's safe to sit and breathe in and listen to what's going on around us. And they only can learn that from you. So I hope this podcast landed where it needed to. I hope if you've been worried about having a perfect home, that you realize you don't need a perfect home. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. You are with the family you're supposed to be. Your children chose you. You chose the space that you're in. So look at where you are and decide what things you want to adjust. Don't be down on your space. Don't be frustrated at your space. Just look at how you can adjust what you have. I have homeschooled in a tiny little 800 square foot apartment, and I had 3 children in that apartment. We had 2 kids that were gone, but 3 that were at home, 800 square feet, teeny tiny 2 bedrooms, all the way to a 3,500 square foot house. So, and everything in between. So you're going to figure out what works for your space, and you're going to figure out how to make your space feel good. That might mean you need to get rid of some things and do some purging, or box some things up and store it for now. It might mean that you need to rearrange some furniture and make the flow feel better. But what it doesn't mean is that you have to move right now. You don't have to throw off everything because you don't have the perfect home. You are the one that creates a perfect home. The people in your children's lives and how they feel with those people. That's what's important. That's the perfect space. And you're doing a great job. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye. At Ariel's Light, you'll find something to nourish your soul and your home. Keeping ourselves and family emotionally healthy and happy is no easy task in today's world. Join our free monthly gatherings to nurture your inner work and help you on this path to truly understanding yourself. Live gatherings are free to attend and can be found on our website. If you cannot attend live, you can listen to the replay in our Candle membership. Also in our Candle membership, you'll find full access to our longer podcasts, an archive of gatherings and podcasts from 2023. You'll also find more tools such as guided meditations. Ariel's Light doesn't stop there. We also have tools for you to deepen your connection to festivals and Waldorf education. Visit arielslight.org to start your journey today.